بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Chapter 42 says باب فضل التعفف والصبر. حديث أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه أن ناسا من الأنصار سألوا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأعطاهم ثم سألوه فأعطاهم حتى نفد ما عنده فقال ما يكون عندي من خير فلن أدخره عنكم ومن يستعفف يعفه الله ومن يستغني يغنيه الله ومن يتصبر يصبره الله وما أعطي أحد عطاء خيرا وأوسع من الصبر. Chapter 42 says the superiority of abstaining from begging and that of patience. Babu Fadl Ta'afufi was Sabr. We've explained all of these concepts before. Not begging, not asking, being patient, when you can ask, when you should ask, when it's okay to ask, etc. Hadith 627. We're coming up on the end of Kitab al-Zakah. Inshallah, maybe, not quite yet, but the chunk of the Kitab we've taken. Alhamdulillah. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he says, أن ناسا من الأنصار سألوا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. It says some Ansari persons asked for something from Allah's Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم, and he gave them. They again asked him, and he again gave them. And then they asked him, and he gave them again till all that was with him finished. And then he said, if I had anything, I would not keep it away from you. Whoever abstains from asking others, Allah will make him contented. And whoever tries to make himself self-sufficient, Allah will make him self-sufficient. And whoever remain patient, says here, Allah will make him patient. Nobody can be given a blessing better and greater than patience. This hadith is a tremendous hadith, not just on zakah and sadaqah, money and begging, but just on life lesson. Try your best to be as self-sufficient as possible. Try your best to be as patient as possible. Try your best to abstain from being in the need of others as much as possible. And if you make that attempt, then Allah Azza wa Jalla will make it easy for you later on. And the same rule applies to anything else. He who is naturally cowardly and wishes to be brave and practice bravery for Allah's cause, for the right cause, the right thing, the right reason to be brave and to be tough, Allah will make him that way. He may not be born brave. You may not be a brave person by nature, but you practice. You gently, gradually force yourself into it. You face the fear time after time, and eventually it will come. He who is naturally stingy. I'm not a generous person by nature. I don't like giving my money or my time. Generosity isn't just with money. But if you try and you practice, then eventually it will happen. Allah will make it easy for you. He who isn't a modest person by nature. I'm naturally flamboyant, a showboat. I like to show off. I like to be seen. I like to be heard. I like to be the center of attention, the center of attraction. I like to be the life of the party by nature. And that, as a Muslim, isn't always a good thing. Rather, oftentimes, it's a horrible thing. So therefore, it's my nature to be like flashy. But bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, if I try and if I attempt, then Allah will allow me. So this hadith is a universal hadith. And it can be applied to any problem that's going on in your life. A problem that you've been born with, or a problem that you've acquired later on by being exposed to something. And this hadith can also be applied to the concept of homosexuality and lesbianism. If a person says, I was born to like the same sex, I was born to be feminine, al-mukhannath, a man who's feminine. It's not my fault. I had 7 sisters in my house when I was growing up. I was born feminine. My father, my uncles, my grandfather, my brothers, whatever, they always left me. I was never around men my whole life. I was naturally feminine. May not necessarily be my fault. But you have to make an attempt to be manly. You have to make an attempt to practice manhood. You have to make an attempt to get rid of those feminine ways. As the Prophet ﷺ said, in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, the well-known hadith, that he cursed the men who imitate women and women who imitate men. لَعْنَ الْمُتَشَبِّهِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ بِالنِّسَاءِ. Men who imitate women. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar rahimahullah explained that the ulama of Islam say about the hadith is that if a person is naturally feminine, this is something which was known to the ulama of the past. He wasn't considered a homosexual, but he's just feminine. Alright? Then he is supposed to يَتَكَلَّفْ تَشَبُّهْ بِالرِّجَالِ. He's supposed to imitate and act like a man. Force himself. And if it's something that he just can't change, something that's out of his power, then there's no what? Sin upon him. But it is upon him to try and to strive. And the same applies to a girl. A girl may naturally be a tom girl. She may naturally be a tough, rough girl. A dirty girl. She likes playing in the mud, in the sandbox. She never had no sisters. She was around her 5 brothers. They were all athletes. They were outdoor type street going people. And that's how she was raised. Her mother wasn't there. Her father raised her. Methodin. That's fine. There are certain things that she must attempt to be a lady in. And learn how to have the etiquette of a lady. Everyone understand this? So this hadith is universal. And it can be applied to any life situation. Everyone understand this? There's some people that are born brave. Naturally brave men. No fear. And there are those who learn bravery. I'm just a scaredy cat by nature. I was never a tough person. I was pampered and sheltered my whole life. I wasn't exposed to anything real or raw or tough. My fault or not? It's not my fault. But what is my fault if I don't what? Strive. Women. Whoever. If you practice sabr, and Allah will, yusabbirhullah. Man yastafif, yu'iffuhullah. Man yastaghni, yughnihillah. So you have to make an attempt. So once again, I repeat, this hadith is a tremendous narration. And it is a universal narration. And it can be applied to any aspect or sphere of life. And this hadith also goes to show us, with regards to an addiction, or with regards to some type of problem or habit or pattern, the key ingredient is sincerity. Sincerity. Do you really want to stop? Do you really want to? Oftentimes, people, they say they want to stop, and they do to an extent, but not 100%. They're not disgusted with the sin. They're not disgusted with the substance. They're not disgusted with the evil effects of it. Look what it does to my life. Look what relationships it destroys in my life. Look at my health. Look at my money. Look at my children. Look at my career. Look at my kullu shay is destroyed. And a person doesn't really look at it as an ugly, evil monster. Oh, it's bad. I know I got to get rid of it. I need to quit drinking or doing this or smoking, whatever it is, right? They know it's bad and they do want to stop. But they don't look at it in the reality of it as a ugly, hideous monster that's going to destroy their deen and their dunya. And you have to look at it like that. And then you have to say to yourself, that's it. I have to stop this. Even though I'm weak and I'm addicted and I've been doing it for 30 years. I've been smoking. I've been doing this drug. I've been doing this, whatever. I have to stop though. It's a must. And therefore I have to make an attempt. And even though it hurts and it's burdensome and it's difficult, if I keep striving, Allah will make it easy. And Allah will test the servant in his sincerity. Scholars of Islam say, the wisdom why Allah does not just support the servant immediately and allow him to get off of whatever problem it is immediately, is that his sincerity has to be tested. His sincerity has to be tested. And once his sincerity is tested and it's proven that he really wants to stop, or he really wants to do the good thing that he's not born with, then after that comes Nasrullahi wal Fath. Everyone understand this? But that's after the what? After the attempt. And that's what the hadith clearly says. Men yastaghni yughnihillah. Attempt self-sufficiency, and then it's a gap in that hadith. Man yastaghni yughnihillah. He who attempts self-sufficiency and then tries and attempts, and some time goes by and he may suffer a little bit, then comes yughnihillah. Everyone understand this hadith? So let these words, inshallah ta'ala, be a benefit, especially for the young brothers and sisters, is that you gotta attempt. You want to learn Arabic. You're not born with an Arabic tongue. You struggle reading and saying certain things. That's fine. But you have to what? You got to try. Now, you may not be the most talented person in Arabic. It's just not meant for you to be the most talented person. Some things person has to be born with, no doubt. But that's fine. But you can get yourself to a level of efficiency with the necessary hard work and the necessary sincerity. And once Allah supports you and helps you, everything else will be easy afterwards. طيب. From the fawaid of this hadith is the permissibility of asking for money. Whereas the Ansar clearly asked him. And the Prophet didn't say, he who asks, anyone who asks, this person will be in hell. He what? فَأَعْطَاهُمْ. He gave them. So the first fa'idah from this hadith proves the permissibility of asking. As we have explained, asking for money or begging is not absolutely haram. It's in detail. Number 2, this hadith also shows the virtue of the Prophet ﷺ, whereas he was extremely generous and helpful and useful. And there's nothing wrong with a person being helpful and useful. Many people, they think, oh, a person just using you. There's nothing wrong with being useful. And sometimes in life, and even in Islam, there's nothing wrong with someone using you. Sometimes. Especially if they're using you for good. You understand this? Especially what? What are you losing? I said, oh, he's just using you. He's just using you to do this class or to do this or to go to blah, blah, blah. But in the meantime, I'm using you. You're losing or gaining. Everyone understand this? You're getting a lot. And in most cases, or some, not most cases, but oftentimes, a person who's used actually gets more out the deal than the one who's using. In most cases. Everyone understand this? So don't let shaitan fool you and trick you. Do not allow shaitan to fool you and to trick you. You may be a brother who has a business. It doesn't have to be knowledge of business. And you're my protege in my business. I'm showing you this, I'm showing you that, but I need you to do this. And I need your face as the poster boy. And you want to do this and do this. They say he's using you. As soon as he makes his money, he's going to discard you. As soon as his business gets off the ground, he's going to what? He's going to divorce you, so on and so forth. Maybe, mumkin. But in the meantime, who's learning the ropes of the business? Who's getting years of experience for free? The apprenticeship, the tutelage. You're getting what? For free. And I may only be using this little thing from you, but you're getting all of the secrets. You're learning everything at a young age. So do not allow shaitan to trick you and to fool you, thinking that you can never ever be used. I repeat, being used for a good thing is not bad. Number 2, even if someone is using you, and it's not necessarily absolutely 100% good Islamically, if you have the right perspective on life, you're going to gain and you're going to learn from it. Everyone understand this? You're going to learn from it. So you learn and take the good out of every situation. Everyone understand this? Now, that's being used 100%. If you're not being used, there's nothing wrong with being useful. There's a difference here. So, scenario number 1, I'm being used. You ask me a question, Mukhtar. You don't like me. You don't respect me. You don't have no love for me. And you say, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Munir, I have a question for you. Can you answer a question? Or you call my phone late at night. Me and my wife having a situation. I don't come to your masjid. I don't come to your classes. I have no love, support, but I need you to help me out in this situation. And the imam in my masjid is not picking up the phone. Or he picks up the phone, but he doesn't have the knowledge that you have, an experience. Or I know that you'll be kind enough to help me out. And as soon as I answer your question and help you out and save, the third divorce doesn't count, you were angry, she was menstruating, blah, 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 blah. You go back to talking about me on the internet. All right? And talking trash about me, so on and so forth. You live right next door, no love, no respect, nothing. You did what to me? You used me. That's fine. I got a reward out of it. I got a benefit out of it. I paid my zakat out of it. Everyone understand this? Second scenario is, you do know me, I know you, we're cool, we're in the masjid together, we hang out as brothers, we don't have to be the best of friends, but we have love and respect. I'll do you a favor, you do me a favor, etc. And you call me at 2 a.m. Mufti, I got into a bad argument with my wife. I divorced her for the 3rd time. Is it valid? So on and so on and so on and so forth. This is the ruling. The ulama say this. Jazakallah khairan. And the next day I see in the masjid, hey, what's up, Sheikh? How you doing? And then next week, you going trying to eat sushi tonight? Blah, blah. You didn't use me because we still have some type of relationship. But I was clearly what? Useful. And if I can't answer your phone call or help you out or do anything for you anytime, what good is it me being your friend? Everyone understand this? Is there a benefit in a relationship? If I can never ever do you a favor, nothing. Not some of my bad qualities, but never. There's no time. What good is it then? So therefore, we as friends and husbands, wives, teachers, students, we should always have the mindset of being what? Useful. And sometimes even being used. Everyone understand this? So the Prophet ﷺ was useful to his subjects. He was there for them. They kept asking him for money, and that clearly proves the permissibility of asking. Tayyib. The next benefit from this hadith is transparency from the ruler. Transparency from the ruler. But many people, they abuse this terminology, just like they abuse a bunch of other terminologies or words, such as mental health. Everyone and their mama is an expert on mental health nowadays. Everyone's talking about it. Mental health. How many times you hear this? YouTubers. Mental health. Islam's position on mental health, right? Mental health. This mental health. This ayah is mental health. It's the reality. And oftentimes people don't even realize what they're saying, let alone know what they're talking about. So people, they say transparency. We want transparency from the ruler. We want transparency from the board of the masjid. We want transparency from the husband, from the wife, blah, 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 blah. It sounds good. And sometimes it has to be, and sometimes it should be, but oftentimes you're not ready for transparency. Sometimes you're not ready for some of the horrors of life. Once I was in Canada, they did a conference about the youth and passing the baton to the next generation, the youth, and so on and so forth, and blah, 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 blah. So, of course, the older brothers are going to be accused of hoarding the power, hoarding the money, dominating, monopolizing the masjid, and keeping the young guys from taking the community to the next step, or the next echelon. And then the older brothers are going to accuse the young guys of not having enough experience, being hasty, not having so on, no respect, etc., right? So the older brother, he got on the stage, and he said, well, we would love to give the masjid to the youth. It's not a problem. We'll give it over. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he wasn't. It's not the point. The point is, he said, but the young brothers, he says, are you ready for the responsibility of this center? Do you know how much money it costs just for the water bill, the electric bill, the gas bill? Do you know what happens when there's not enough money in the box, when the donations aren't enough? Do you know where that money comes from? So he was basically saying, which one of you young brothers right now is willing to come out of his pocket and pay such and such thousands of dollars just for the water bill? Everyone understand this? How many people, Abdul? Brothers say, we want to control the masjid, we want to run it, let the youth run the masjid. Okay, no problem. The donations are short. Or the funding from overseas, from Kuwait or whatever, however the money is made. The businesses, whatever. It was short this month. And the water bill was what? $3,000, Abdul Qawi, for a big place. All right? It's not enough money for the water bill. The leader of the masjid, the board member, he does what? He goes out of his own pocket and he pays it just for the masjid to have wudu or for the lights to be on. So oftentimes people, they talk about transparency, but they're not willing to what? Handle the transparency. All right, here's the transparency. This is the expenses of the masjid. Boom. The imam gets a little tiny bit. This co-imam, this kada, the gas bill, the water bill. This sister is homeless. This one. Boom, 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 boom. We got fined by the city. We got a zone and da-da-da. You want to deal with that money? Can you pay for that? Can you handle that? Can you go out right now? I said we need $5,000 for the masjid right now. Something really important. You don't have it, but do you have the gift and gab to go get it and collect it? Because brother, what Fulan, he does. He knows people with money that are generous. He knows how to get the money. Do you have that skill? So oftentimes people, they ask for transparency and they're not what? They're not ready for it. Because sometimes transparency is ugly. Some of the horrors of finances or the masjid politics, right? As we say, the stuff that you got to deal with behind the scenes. It's nice. You see the sheikh, assalamu alaikum. Sheikh Fulan comes for Taraweeh, brother. How are you doing? The head shake, the head nod. But you don't know the horrors that have to take place for that even to happen. Or conference. You know the nightmares of a conference. Scheduling, organizing, security, food, the venue, sound system, nightmare, horror. You just go and sit down and listen to the lecture, benefit from the lecture. But you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and the egos, and the jealousy, and the arrogance, and the racism, and the pride, and the fighting. So oftentimes transparency is something that you yourself, what? You're not ready to deal with. Certain things, yes. But not what? Not all things. We're just talking about a masjid. We're not talking about a country. Everyone understand this? The dirty work that someone has to do for the benefit of the country, the safety of the country. It's not an easy, clean job. But for everyone to have a safe, clean country, this has to happen and this has to happen. Are you willing to do that? Or not willing to do that? Can you stomach it? You know what I'm saying? This a husband. Oh, where were you? Such and such. Oh, you're such and such here. Can you deal with all transparency? Your wife, if she told you I was on the phone with such and such, or such and such sister said such and such, could you deal with it? If she told you some of the things, oftentimes you what? You can't. So I think that we need to be realistic and we need to be balanced when we use this word transparency. Certain things, yes, should be and must be what? Transparent. Certain things. The collections, this is where the money goes, no problem. But there are other things which the people aren't ready, or all of the people aren't what? Ready for. And the people who claim absolute transparency in most cases are hypocrites. In most cases. Just like people talk about democracy. In most cases, they're not keeping it 100% true. Your vote means this. Your voice is this. They're not telling you what? The absolute truth. Oftentimes, there are decisions that have to be made, and there can only be one decision that's made. And it can't be 50 voices and 100 voices, let alone 5,000 people all giving their opinions. I'm the ruler. Final decision. Done. Let the people think that their opinion what? It's life. Guess what? It's the reality of life. And the closer we are to the truth of life and to the reality of life, the easier it is for us to live in this chaotic and turbulent world. Everyone understand the point I'm trying to get to? But that does not mean is that there aren't other times and instances in which there should be transparency. And the ruler should be clear and open. And the subject should be what? Clear and open. Transparency just doesn't have to be a positive thing. You say, we're displeased with you, Abdul Khawi. We're not happy with you as our leader. We're not happy with you as our teacher. You do this to us. You make us wait, blah, 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 blah. Be what? Be transparent. But not all of the time. You're a horrible student. You have excuses every time I ask you to do something or to memorize something. You have an excuse. That transparency is not what? It's not good. We can agree on this? So the point is that it always goes what? Both ways. Just like the other terms that people talk about, freedom and mental health, it goes what? Both ways. The speaker, him or herself, may be also suffering from a what? That's why you're talking, because you have this insecurity, and this happened to you when you were younger, and such and such, and such and such. Psychology, it's not a one-way street. طيب. The next faida from this hadith, we talked about transparency, we talked about clarity from the ruler, and we talk about instruction from the ruler. The instruction, the ruler, he should give his subjects instruction, he should teach them, he should educate them about that which concerns them. Khair inshallah. Next chapter. Babun wa alaikum salam. في الكفاف والقناعة. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم ارزق آل محمد قوتا. طيب. We'll stop here tonight. That one hadith and its depth and dimension is more than enough for now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.